Our goal is not to exceed 2 weeks at least for now.
The top officer at the New Orleans Sewage and Water Board is pledging to speed up the time it takes to patch holes in the road when his crews dig up the street. Ghassan Korban told a city council committee he wants to tackle the holes. At the same time, he's working on better billing practices at the utility.
The Sewage and Water Board wants to have most of the holes patched up by Mardi Gras. Paul Murphy joins us with the story. Paul?
Karen, Natalie, Korban admits that he is laying out an ambitious plan, but he says it starts with his crews taking responsibility for the holes they dig. Holes in the road are often hard to avoid as you drive the streets of New Orleans. In many cases, Sewage and Water Board crews have torn up the street to fix an underground pipe and just refilled the hole with gravel and dirt. But the bump in the road remains for weeks, even months. The utility's new executive director, Ghassan Korban, told a city council committee he would like to see the holes patched within 2 weeks of when they are dug.
We are devising also a very efficient plan and streamline efficient process to minimize the duration that it takes us between repairing a street, repairing infrastructure underground, and the street above.
But what about the backlog of about 4,000 Sewage and Water Board holes that already exist on the streets of the city? Sources tell Eyewitness News the Sewage and Water Board is working on a plan to patch the ones it's responsible for by Mardi Gras.
We're making it clear that the patches that are created by Sewage and Water Board for work that we do are ours. Okay? So we're going to assume that responsibility.
Part of the problem has been identifying who's responsible for patching a street, the city or the Sewage and Water Board. City Deputy Chief Administrative Officer Ramsey Green told council members the Department of Public Works and the utility are now meeting every week to discuss ongoing projects, and that the city will soon roll out a new website to better inform the public about road repairs.
I don't think you have seen better coordination between the city and the Sewage and Water Board in terms of infrastructure coordination than you've seen in the past.
And coming up new at 6, you'll hear from the company that sold the Sewage and Water Board its embattled billing software, what the company has to say about all those high bills that went out in recent months. We're live in the French Quarter. Paul Murphy, Eyewitness News.